Well, my next two guests will be paying close attention to the debate tonight. Manon Cornellier is an editorial writer with Le Devoir, and Catherine Lévesque is a parliamentary correspondent with La Presse Canadienne. Good to see you both. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's start by talking about the incident today with Jagmeet Singh and the older gentleman who comes up to him and says, you know, you should take off your turban, you'll look more Canadian. What did you think when you saw that in the context of, you know, immigration? And Bill 21 will be one of the key issues in this debate tonight. So, Manon, what did you think when you saw this on this day, and what do you think it means?
I think that it could have happened elsewhere in Canada, but in Quebec, maybe people feel a bit more free to say so because people have recognized that it's an issue for part of the population. So there's kind of it's not there as this inhibition to talk about it.
People feel freer to come up and say, hey,
exactly.
Think of taking off your turban.
So I think it's a bit the reason why it came up. And even when the gentleman, when it ended up, the gentleman said, but I hope you win.
I hope you win.
So it's not that you have something against Mr. Scheer. It's maybe a misunderstanding of what his religious symbol means and why he's wearing it.
Yeah.
So
what did you think, Catherine, when you saw it?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that he was speaking in English. Sometimes we'll think that only francophones will, talk about his turban. But the exchange happened in English at when Mr. Singh was out. And what was interesting is that the man was very calm. He was like he was trying to help him.
He thought he was giving. It sounded like he was trying to give him advice.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
if you want to win.
Like Manon said, he said, "Well, I hope you win. You know, I hope this
but
works out for you."
This is the Jagmeet Singh experience, right? He's talked about this before. It was unusual for us to actually be able to see it and hear it, and the way he handled it, which was to say, you know what? Actually, in Canada, we're allowed to look the way we want to look, and I don't agree with you. Do you think it plays a role in the debate tonight?
I don't think this incident will play a role, but it's clear that Mr. Singh, when they will discuss Bill 21, because we expect them to
early on in the debate.
Early on in the debate, I'm sure that he will raise his personal experience and why we should not judge him on the way he looks, but on the idea he's putting forward. That have been this main argument since the beginning, and I think it was also the argument in advertising in Quebec, and I think it will be the same tonight.
What do you think? Why is this debate important tonight?
Well, because it will be the first time the four main leaders talk together, and also the face-à-face TVA, which is literally face-to-face. It's an interesting concept because they will be questioning each other only in duos. So unlike the next debates next week, where we'll see 6 people, people will be cutting each other off, they will actually have a real occasion to actually ask each other questions and actually have a real debate. Also, it's going to be only Quebec-oriented, Quebec-focused, so I think that will be definitely a milestone in the Quebec campaign.
78 seats at stake in the province of Quebec.
Exactly.
The polls show Justin Trudeau, leading by a significant margin. But when you break down the vote in Quebec, it's really interesting because there's a francophone vote and there's some anglophone vote, and it's sort of where the battles within the province are taking place. But I think it's fair to say that in terms of the leaders in the debate tonight, Justin Trudeau goes in probably as the front runner. But what are the risks for him, Manon?
The risk for him is that first he will be challenged by everybody, that's for sure. And this format of face-to-face will force everybody to personalize their attack to each other. They cannot have just a kind of broad attack to everybody. So Mr. Trudeau will be singularized in a sense, and he will have to answer to really specific questions that will be addressed to him. And his record right now is defending it always against Mr. Scheer. But in Quebec, he has to deal with a resurgence of the Bloc Québécois in the polls. The NDP is not the threat it was in the past. So he has a kind of a multiple adversary there with different agenda.
Right.
And also he will be really challenged, I think, by the Bloc Québécois on the different demands that the Legault governments made.
And a key one, again, will be Bill 21, right?
Bill 21.
Keep out of it.
Yeah.
It's a Quebec issue.
Exactly.
And will he try to pin Justin Trudeau down tonight on... The whole thing is about... the federal leaders are largely saying the same thing on Bill 21, except Justin Trudeau's the one saying, look, we'll stay out of it for now,
now.
but we'll reserve the right later,
Yeah.
perhaps, to get involved in how does he have to handle that issue for a Quebec audience tonight?
Well, he's probably hoping it's not going to come up, but it will, as you said. And not only it's going to come up, but they're going to start with that theme at tonight's debate. So Mr. Trudeau will probably be repeating the same thing he's been saying, is that, look, it's not responsible for me to say that I won't ever get involved in a court challenge, because Ottawa might have to do that at some point. And also because he has to, he's always been the champion of diversity and inclusion, and he has to put that message out, as well as saying, look, we have to defend the Charter of Rights and Values. That's what we're going to do.
But at the same time, we have to realize that in Quebec, there's a huge support in the Francophone population for this bill. But still, in the last poll, Mr. Trudeau is still ahead a bit from the Bloc with the Francophone voters, which means that people
pretty tight, though, eh? I think it's
tight,
28 for the Liberals, 27 for the Conservatives, 26 for the Bloc.
But it shows that people know where he stands. They're not surprised by his position. So
that would be the challenge, right? That if he sticks to that, if he says something more than that,
if he goes
then
further,
maybe that's big
then
news.
He will do damage to his own.
What about Andrew Scheer? Let's talk about Andrew Scheer. Again, the Conservative support is consolidated in some key parts of the province of Quebec. So, what's the risk for Andrew Scheer? I mean,
he's starting with some baggage, in a sense. Pipeline, environment. In Quebec, this hurt him. And I think he will be challenged on that by Mr. Singh, by Mr. Trudeau, by everybody. And yes, he said that what we respect in Quebec jurisdiction, we are for a single income tax return, That doesn't, the weight of that compared
doesn't match up to his position on climate.
Position of saying if he has to do energies, he will impose that. That in Quebec is it's a killer.
Yeah.
There's also very wide support in Quebec for abortion, so that issue might come up. Maybe other leaders will.
His position on social issues,
on
abortion,
social issues, gay marriage,
LGBTQ rights,
absolutely. So that might be a slippery slope for Mr. Scheer. Also, what we'll be looking out tonight is, I think, yes, Justin Trudeau will be a target, but I think the Bloc leader will also be a target, because they've been gaining ground, and the Conservatives in the Bloc Québécois are fighting for the same votes outside of Montreal, in the Francophone areas of Quebec. So they will be, I think, that will be a face-to-face to look out for if ever Mr. Scheer and Mr. Blanchette are talking
Does
together.
this debate matter outside of Quebec?
I think so, because in Montreal, the Liberals are solid, but when you go in Quebec City, it's the Conservative, but when you go in the region, it's the Bloc is strong, and that's where the NDP and all the others can lose ground if the Bloc go up. And now in the polls, they are at a level where they're starting making gains. They can translate that into seats. So that's the problem, and so you will see a lot of tight race outside of Montreal, the big cities, and and so it can have an impact on having a majority or minority or small minority.
Right,
big
or if somebody suddenly gains momentum in a debate in Quebec, the rest of the country might be paying attention. Or we saw that with Jack Layton in the NDP in 2011.
There are political waves in Quebec. All of a sudden, someone can have a very good debate, and from that moment on, Quebecers will say, hey, maybe I'll be paying more attention to this party or this party. So, let's say Mr. Singh has a very good debate tonight. Maybe, people will be looking out for the NDP. Same thing for Mr. Scheer if he has a good debate. So, it's very volatile, and I think it will definitely influence the government.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
A pleasure.